Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Eva, and this is the Higher Heart Way. This is a space of soul remembrance, healing, cycle breaking, and creating something that is meaningful and authentic to you in your business and life. Today in this episode, I want to talk about business. And I have been in business for the last 4 years. I've had my spiritual life coaching, healing business, and there's a lot that I have learned. And I hope that this video can serve as a foundation for how to build a business that feels authentic and is co-created with the divine, with your soul, with source, with the universe, God, spirit, whatever you want to call that higher power. But if you're looking to create a soul-led business, then stay tuned, because this is one of many videos I'm going to be creating to not only share my lived experience and wisdom, but also offer practices to support you in the creation of your own. And if you're interested also in going deeper, there will always be invitations down in the show notes for ways to work deeper and to actually have support on this journey. So I felt inspired today to talk about business and creating with the divine, because we have heard the stories of entrepreneurs who left their 9-to-5 and opened up a soul business and had great success and never looked back, and everything just flourished in their business. And the truth that I have discovered in these stories is that people have very different circumstances. There are people who have savings from corporate jobs. There are people who have spouses who are able to support financially as this person is building their business. There are people who are working multiple jobs as they build. And I have experienced support in all of the above, as well as realized that there is this building season of business that people don't really talk about. And the reason why I wanted to bring awareness to this is because if so many more entrepreneurs knew about this season of business and could embrace where they're at in their journey of entrepreneurship, because I think also looking at entrepreneurship as a journey is so important. When you look at something as a journey, when you sit down to read a book, when you sit down to watch a movie, you're sitting there to watch the whole journey unfold. You're there to watch the character development, to see what happens, to see if they're able to overcome those inner struggles or the outside struggles that they're facing. And I don't know why, but for entrepreneurship, we don't look at it the same way. We want that instant gratification and that overnight success. But the truth is that the overnight success is built, and the building phase of business is at the very beginning, when you take the time to establish first, what is your why? What is the core heart, the core root of your mission, of why you want this business? Is it to provide financial freedom for yourself and your family? Is it to support in a cause in the world that matters so much to you? Did your own journey inspire you to start this business? Maybe you took some sort of pain, some kind of wound, and turned that pain into purpose, or transformed that wound into wisdom. And now you want to share that with others and support them on that similar path. There's so many different reasons why we might be starting a business. And I have found that every time I have felt the most in my head about my business, the most disconnected from my soul while building my business, is when I forget my why. When I don't remind myself, well, why did I even start this in the first place? So I highly recommend, whether you are already a seasoned entrepreneur or just beginning, always make sure that you're clear on what your why is, because in the moments where you need to cultivate deeper resilience, in the moments where you're going to be challenged and you really need to show up, knowing your why is the difference between giving up and continuing forward. Knowing your why is going to give you that little glimmer of that light at the end of the tunnel so that you can keep going and you don't just completely abandon everything that you have been building. Because when you remind yourself what your why is, it re-inspires you. It might reignite something within you. And maybe your why changes and evolves through time. That's okay. But just make sure you're always clear on what your why is, because that is going to be one of the things that's going to help you come back time and time again as you're building your belief in yourself, as you're building your self-trust with your intuition, as you're navigating your own creation process, because we don't all just create in the same way. The second thing that I want to share is more about this building phase. So I have been in business, like I said, for 4 years, and I have learned a lot about myself. I have learned how impatient I am. I have learned how comparison destroys your ability to enjoy the journey. I got really stuck in comparison, and I would beat myself up and tell myself, how am I not further along? I know all about healing. Basically beating myself up for not being more embodied. But healing, just like business, and this is part of the higher heart way, healing, very similarly to business, they're both journeys. And what I have learned is if you're not embracing where you are in the journey, you're way too focused on the future and where you're trying to go, you're not being present enough, and it's harder to enjoy the current season you're in if you're always looking at this destination over here and not being present with where you are right now with the resources that you have. I had a mentor one time tell me that limitation is not to box you in. It's actually to inspire you to get more creative. And she shared this example of when you are creating art and you run out of a certain color, you have the opportunity now to get creative with the colors that you do have. So are you going to let that quote unquote limitation stop you from creating? Or are you just going to work with what you have? Because on my journey of entrepreneurship, one of the biggest teachers has been money. And I had a really horrible habit of overspending. I was avoiding my money. I was not good at managing it. I would just avoid looking at my account and hope that I would be okay. And my business has supported me in navigating money management better, seeing money as a resource and seeing that by creating money through other income sources as I am building my business, I'm able to pour into the resources that I need to operate my business. And I think that we're not really taught that. We don't really see like the 9 to 5 that we're at as a resource, because we see it as an obstacle. We see it as something that is in the way of us doing what we truly want to do. At least that's how I felt for the longest time. And what I learned is that really everything is a resource if you choose to look at it this way. We are creating mental stories around everything. So what are the stories that you have created around your business, around yourself, around your money that might be disempowering you, that might not actually be as supportive as you may think they are? And when you choose to reframe that story, when you choose to have a different story, and you actively work on reframing and actively work on choosing again oh, there's that thought that came up that that's too expensive. I can't afford that. Let's reframe that. I am choosing to allocate my resources elsewhere right now. If you see things in life as limiting, you will only see limitation because your brain is going to focus on all the ways you are limited. I say this with no shadow of a doubt because I have lived this. I have lived in the state of abundance and magnetized so many resources to me. And I have also lived in the state of lack and experienced feeling very alone, separated, unsupported, frustrated. I've done both. And what I've learned from that is that it is a choice. So one of the ways that I started to look at my business is seeing it as a plant. If you have a seed and you plant that seed, you do not know exactly when that seed is going to sprout. There's no way for you to predict that, right? You might be able to estimate, oh, maybe on this day, you'll start to see a little seedling pop through the soil, but you're not going to actually be able to predict exactly on this day at this time it's going to sprout. That is the innate nature of nature. There is a timing. There is an intelligence of things. And that's what I've learned, that the process of creation, there is divine timing. It's not in the timing that our mental mind wants it to be. So there has to be an element of surrender. And what I have learned is that my role as the entrepreneur is to be a conduit for the divine, to co-create something that feels meaningful, that feels authentic, that speaks to my heart and soul, and be of service to people in some way, blending my passion with being of service and my skills. And that's the sweet spot. And there's an element of surrender because I cannot control how this journey will look. I can just choose to be devoted to the journey and keep taking a step by step, and keep moving forward. And I'll tell you that I started off offering Reiki, animal communication, and spirit guide message readings. And I no longer offer any of those services, not because I don't believe in them, but because I have just gone through a journey and explored so much and discovered where my true passion is, which for me is supporting people to reclaim their power, their soul sovereignty, and walk this path of soul remembrance and be empowered to create authentically, be empowered to say yes to themselves, give permission to what they are creating, because that has been the best gift that I have given myself. And I got really stuck in creating offerings, burning them down, feeling unseen, feeling unheard, feeling like it wasn't working. And the reason that I haven't given up is because I feel something in my heart. And at this point in my life, it is so undeniable that I came here for this, that there's something here. And even if this path doesn't unfold in the way that I think, even if it's not a business, but the business is a stepping stone and it leads me to something else, I'm here for the journey. I'm here to show up. I'm devoted to keep going. I'm devoted to keep meeting people, to keep cultivating that deep self-belief and trust, because I have completely transformed from this entrepreneurship journey. I have seen the person I was when I started, and I was such a dreamer, thinking, oh, I'll just manifest that. Yeah, I'll just work with my energy, just call in all my soul-aligned clients. And that is not how it worked for me. I've had to surrender, to connect, to align. And the constant that has supported me through all those frustrating times, through all the rebirths, when I felt a shift happening in my business, when I felt like this just isn't it, there's something missing, there's just something, I don't even know what it is. And now I understand how my energy works and why in the past I had struggled so much, because my energy works in this visionary way. I can sense the final product, if you will, but I don't yet have all the puzzle pieces to get there. And I get there by taking the steps. And that's the other thing. A lot of people, they want a map. They want to feel safe and secure, which is totally normal for us humans. But everyone wants a map before they take that first step. And what I have learned is that actually by taking the step is how the path unfolds. The path clears up as you keep taking the step. It's like walking in fog. You won't be able to see 10 steps ahead, but you'll be able to see where you're going for your next step. And that's all you really need to know. And I think it's a way of life, co-creating with the divine. It's not for everyone. Even entrepreneurship, I would say, is not for everyone because it's not for the faint of heart. If you don't have a strong inner dialogue, or you're not willing to cultivate that, if you're not willing to work on yourself, they say that business and entrepreneurship is like self-development on steroids. If you're not willing to show up for yourself and to cultivate a new way of being, it will be challenging, because what I've learned is that business is a mirror. All of the stuff that you have lived through, all the childhood trauma, all the ways that you're disempowering yourself, everything just comes up to the surface in business. And part of what inspired the shift on this YouTube channel to the Higher Heart Way is because I wanted to start talking more about business as a mirror. I wanted to talk about how business, it's you and you in the ring. So you can spend time looking at what everyone else is doing, or you can put your blinders on and focus on what you're doing and create with something that feels aligned to your soul and see what happens. But as long as you're focused on what everyone else is doing, for me, that has just ended in massive frustration and incredible distraction from my own purpose and from my own path, because it made me start questioning and doubting myself. Sometimes there is value in seeing what someone else is doing because there might be inspiration or learning there. But I think that we have to discern between when you actually feel inspired by someone versus when you feel like you're comparing and you're feeling not good enough, and then you're feeling like they have something you don't. Because the truth is that they might have something you don't, but also you have something they don't. Your paths are going to be unique. And as long as you keep feeling behind and like you're not enough, you're doing yourself a disservice. So one of the best things I did when I was stuck in this was I removed social media off my phone. I only access it through my laptop if I need to. I switched from a consumer mindset of scrolling and looking at what everyone else is doing to a creator mindset, taking the time to sit here to create this video, taking the time to sit in stillness and channel what I want to share. What does my soul want to share? Looking back through my notebooks to see what messages I wrote down, what message feels alive and present that I want to say. Because if you're not balanced in creating and consuming, you're going to lean toward one or the other. And if you're leaning too much into consuming, you might even start to feel more of the self-doubt and disconnection. At least that's what had happened to me. I just felt honestly kind of depressed because I kept seeing all these other people creating, and I would just see them creating their stuff, filling up their master classes, creating new containers. And there was part of me that was like, I want that for myself. But I wasn't willing to sit with myself and say, you know what, Eva, if you want that, we need to create space for that. It's not a, I don't have time. It's not a, I don't have the right resources or equipment. Oh, I need a better camera. Oh, trust me, you will create, you can create all the excuses under the sun to convince yourself that you're not ready, that you need something else to do it, that XYZ, all the excuses, you can come up with them. I think every human has an A+, but there's a point that we reach, and it's a point of, you know what? I'm tired of feeling this way. I'm done being in this state. I'm done looking at everyone else creating something that is meaningful to them, and I'm done just being a fly on the wall. I'm ready to create that for myself and walk that path. And if you're walking that path, I just want to say congratulations, because like I said, it is a brave path to walk. You're very courageous for choosing that. If you're building a business too in a new way, if you are adding your own soul magic into it, thank you for paving a new way, for creating something that feels true for you. We already have plenty of people doing things the way that we have been doing it for so long. We're ready to spice things up, and I'm here to support in that journey, and I'm excited to see what people create. It genuinely warms my heart when I see people creating their own blend. Oh, I'm a Reiki master, and I also work with flower essences, and I can help you with your animal communication. You know, like whatever feels true for you, whatever blend you want to do, whatever modality, make it your own. There's a time of learning where we need to learn certain processes and steps to understand like the mechanics of it. But then there's a time of mastery too, when we've done it so many times and we can get into our own mastery with it. So if you're joining me here today and you are creating a business from your heart and soul, please drop in the comments what you are creating. What is your vision? Even if you're in the building stage, I would love to hear what is on your heart and what way of service you want to be in the world. And if there's any way that I can support you, please let me know. Please drop in the comments too if you want me to share deeper on any of these topics. I'm happy to share my journey, and stay tuned for more, because this is just the beginning, so that you don't miss the next videos. I will be creating more meditations and sharing more practices too. And check out my Mystical Heart community. It is an online community space for heart-centered humans who speak the language of the soul. There's a lot of entrepreneurs in there, and we have live calls monthly, and it's a space of deep service for me. I created it with the intention of, I just want to gather all the people that I have met along the way that are passionate about this, that are on this soul remembrance healing path and are devoted to doing the inner work and want to come together to learn together, to grow together, to expand together. So if that calls you, that will be linked down below as well.